My name is Adri, and today I'm going to tell you about the Olympic pause heard around the world.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I have a story about a marathon that became a running joke.
Hi, my name is Darren, and I have the 411 on a flight that very nearly ended in Olympic tragedy.
What does all this have to do with Olympics? Find out in this episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. And now I want to welcome to the screen, and it's your host, it's Alan.
Yes, it is me. Hello, welcome to History Bluffs, where truth is stranger than fiction. You just heard our tech, Adam. Doing okay, Adam?
I'm doing great out here, Alan. It's a fresh Wednesday. We're recording this on July the 24th, and the Olympics are in fact upon us.
Wow, when do they start? I wouldn't know.
Friday, I believe, is the official kickoff. As anybody can second that?
I can second that.
Yep.
Excellent.
Friday's the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
look at that.
Here we are. We are so topical this week, and I love that.
That's right. Darren, you had some information about that opening ceremony? What do you know?
I just know that it's on Friday, and the other thing I know is we're going to apparently be seeing a lot of AI-generated Al Michaels.
Oh, why AI-generated Al Michaels?
Okay.
Because Al is getting up there in years, and they're going to just use his likeness and generate a lot of reports of what's going on because he's too old to do all of them live in real time.
Wow. Is this really going to happen?
That's what I heard.
All right.
That is so odd. You know, while you're at it, why not just resurrect all the famous sportscasters that are dead? Like, you know,
John Madden.
Howard Cosell,
Yeah.
just bring everyone back. I don't know.
I like you went straight to Madden.
Yeah, John Madden, sure. Hey, you know, in the Olympics, the goal here is to get a gold medal because the silver medal's the second place.
Oh, boom, he threw that javelin. Look at that.
He's on his back.
What a pass. It works.
Anyway,
But here we are. Here we are.
That's our topic for today's Olympic.
Good night.
Oh, it
And
is.
we've got our historians here. So before we get to the actual game, for those of you who don't know the rules of our game, we're going to bring up those rules right now for those watching on YouTube or Twitch. Let's bring them up, Adam, and then I'll read them out loud for you on the podcast.
There you go, Alan. Here's the rules. Read them off.
Historians are inspired by the topic. The true stories must be factual. But the Bluffs story, the crux of that story, yes, that will indeed be fiction. And if you are watching, listening, whatever, please do not chime in onto our live chat and spoil it for everyone.
Oh, okay. Well,
Don't
there we
want
go.
a spoiled game. No.
No, we don't. We do not want that.
We don't. But we are going to find out who our gold, silver, and bronze medalists are today by finding out who correctly guesses who the Bluffs are. So that'll be it. We don't have a three-tiered award system normally, but sometimes we do have that going on. So let's see how the chips fall, as it were.
All right.
And we have Adri is listed as first. Also, let's introduce our round tracker, Adam. Let's bring that up.
Oh, yeah, let's do
well.
that because we have this beautiful technology. There it is for those viewing.
Wow.
Those
We
who
will know
cannot see.
who is at what point in what round, and the rounds are timed. For those of you that don't know, the rounds are round 1 is 75 seconds, round 2 is 1 minute, and the final round is 45 seconds because we want to spare you wasted time, audience member.
That's right. That's right.
And on that note, we're going to not waste any more time and bring out Adri. She's going to start off round 1 with her story.
Number 1. Let's get to round number 1. That's the official start of round number 1. And as you requested, Alan, the host, let's move Adrian to spot number 1.
That was a flawless title card, Adam, and let's go ahead and start it.
All right, round 1 begins right now.
Okay, so my story is about Luciana Vethian. She was a Brazilian sculler And sculling is basically like a single row, like rowing in the river uh, game, or not game, but race. Anyways, so she competed in the 1992 Barcelona and 1996 Atlanta Summer Games. Um, and she is still viewed as one of the most iconic sportsmen or sportswoman. She was inducted to the Brazilian Hall of Fame in 2021, where they named her the finest sculler of all, professional or amateur, in all the years since World War II. Apparently, sculling was pretty big around World War II time. Anyways, her legend might spring from the fact that she was the first single sculler in the world to win back-to-back Olympic gold medals in Barcelona and Atlanta, but it was actually an act of compassion, not physical prowess, that truly immortalized her in people's hearts and minds. This unbelievable act took place at the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, and I'm going to tell you all about what happened in round deux. That's two in French, because the Olympics are in France this year.
Wow, so
Yeah,
topical. Look at us go.
appropriate for 2024.
Thank you.
Melissa, what'd you think of that?
Yeah, make no bones about it. I'm interested in this sculler. I don't know if it's spelled the same way, but in my mind.
You know what? I was gonna assume it was because I already made this. So there you go.
Ooh.
Hey now,
Yeah,
It's actually a C, but let's pretend it's a K.
I can. Edit
why
that.
not? Okay. Darren, what's your take?
It's a well-known fact that one of the problems in sculling is your head will fall asleep and then you'll be a numbskull. And that's a problem. You don't win when that happens.
Numbskulls are never winners.
No.
You numbskull.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That works.
That was a 100-year-old reference for those kids
no,
out there.
really?
The Three Stooges? Yeah, it's a bit dated.
Oh, you numbskull.
It's been a
little
century
bit.
since the. Okay. All
I
right.
think. I mean, at least since they started.
Are you just guessing? You're making this stuff up. This is history bluffs. There's no room for inaccuracy.
You're right. You're right. But they were definitely together 100 years ago. They might not have been making movies 100 years ago, but I am digressing. Melissa, you're up now. It's round one. Let's hear your take on the Olympic topic.
Here we go.
All right, so a marathon, right? 26 miles. It's a race that shows endurance and perseverance of athletes. So it makes sense that this would be an Olympic game. Well, thanks to events in 1904, the actual Olympic Committee was thinking about actually taking it off the table because it went so poorly. This all happened in St. Louis. That was where the 1904 Olympics were held. And 32 men started the race. Only 14 actually finished, which is the lowest finish rate of any marathon before or since. There were a couple things that went wrong before it even started. James Sullivan was the planner for this, and he believed in something called purposeful dehydration, which, in other words, he thought that if you drink water, it actually decreased your performance as an athlete. So he put one water station in the 26-mile race, and that one water station was at mile 11 or 12. So that was problem one. And then the second thing was it was old country roads and the runners were kicking up dust. They had to dodge people walking their dogs and cars because they didn't properly block it off. But that's not the only crazy part. You'll have to wait for
That was crazy. We just got to catch up on some comments here. Ms. Laura Ross has stated that maybe my statement about the old Three Stooges was very old skull, hopping on the scullery pun.
Isn't that a
That's
Will,
like-
Will
yeah,
Ferrell
that's-
movie?
Oh, it is. Oh, you're right.
Old
There
Skull.
is that. I don't know. Is that a Pac-Man ghost that she did for a second? I don't know. Can you even display
You can do
that, Adam?
emojis.
Look at that emojis.
Wow.
Look, I was born in the 70s. I can't translate this.
That looks like a Pac-Man power pellet ghost to me.
It does.
But
Well, I love it. It's old skull.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
It is old skull. Very
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so anyway, back to Melissa's topic. Let's get some
Okay,
opinions
yes.
here. Adri, what's your opinion on the marathon in St. Louis?
First thing that comes to mind is that it sounds a lot like the new races that they do, like the Warrior Dash and all that stuff, where like they just make it the most unpredictable, unsustainable like athletic run of your life, and that really sounds like what they were going for with this, and possibly the inspiration for that.
Yeah, could be.
That's
Darren,
all I
what's your
got.
take?
I was taken by the fact that she said this is 1904 and they were dodging the cars. And I think accurate would be they were dodging the car prototype that existed at the time that happened to be in St. Louis in 1904. That's got a little anachronistic to me, so it's making me suspicious.
Okay,
Good
that's
points.
fair. It's fair.
Wow.
Maybe referring to pre-automobile vehicles. Don't know. Also,
Didn't hear much
elevators are
about
considered
dodging-
cars, so I don't know. What?
Oh, that's true. Didn't hear much
So-
about dodging the horse landmines.
Yes,
That
would
would've
Maybe
have
been
she
in the
said
rides.
cart,
Well.
but the T was silent.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
the silent T.
Cars, vehicles, trolleys.
Car.
You know.
Trolleys.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, they
Like
were
in Meet Me in
trolleys.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding with the trolley. Anybody else? No? Okay.
I think
My
Melissa
wife-
once referred to a carriage as a chariot in a previous episode, so that does happen sometimes when she renames carriages. Whatever
I
comes
do-
to mind.
I
They
do
got
have an
wheels,
unfair
you know?
advantage in that my wife's favorite movie is Meet Me in St. Louis, which takes
Yeah.
place around that time.
Because
Well,
Darren.
any carriage is a chariot if you drive it fast enough.
There you go.
Carriages of Fire. Dun, dun.
Yeah, that's featuring the
Darren, it is your turn. We're going
All
to
right.
find out what you have to say in round one now.
August 9th, 1978, Olympic Airlines Flight 411 begins its takeoff roll from Athens International, bound for New York, JFK. Olympic 411 is a 747-200 aircraft, and she's heavy. She's carrying 160 tons of fuel for the flight, and she weighs 770,000 pounds, just 8,000 pounds short of maximum takeoff weight. 2 veteran captains, each with 35 years of flight experience, are at the controls. 418 passengers and crew are on board. And though engines 3 and 4 are idling lower than normal, takeoff goes as planned until 9 seconds after liftoff when engine number 3 abruptly fails. Speed decreases and altitude starts to fall. The 2 captains, in direct violation of procedure, make a decision that turns out will save all of their lives. They raise the landing gear even though they are only 35 feet off the ground. They sluggishly climb to a mere 209 feet of altitude as the plane approaches Pawnee Hill, which itself is 200 feet high. And to make matters worse, the plane is flying well below its rated minimum speed of 180 miles an hour.
Sounds scary. What do you think,
Wow.
Adri?
I think it sounds like every Delta flight this week, just destined for not taking off.
They'd be better off if this flight didn't take off, though.
Yeah.
Melissa, what do you think?
Whoa.
Melissa,
Oh, yes.
do you have an opinion?
I do. I do
Okay,
have opinion.
Let's hear your opinion.
So my thought was I appreciated how grounded Darren started his story before it took off.
Hey.
That's
Hey.
good. Hey, you know, we also have a good emoji from the internet here for this story.
Yes.
It's eyeballs with hands, I guess, or is that
Yeah.
a stock?
And
from a
Laura has
sea
an
creature?
opinion on that emoji too, Adam.
Yes. Oh yeah, they're all just freaked out, which is good. I think that matches Darren's story of the engine cutting out. But Melissa, I cut you off, I think. So if you have more to add.
I think she's got a pet to tend to right now.
I did
Everything
wanna
good there,
point out-
Melissa? Does your
Yes.
dog need walking?
I think he's good.
Okay.
I did want to point out 9 seconds after landing, and it happened on August 9th. I don't know. A lot of number things going on here. It's not adding up. That's my other thing.
That's true. Okay.
Oh, the
Numerology.
numerology.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. See, yeah, you and I are thinking the same, Adri.
I
Yep.
don't know. But speaking of numbers, it's time for the number 2 round of the
What?
day.
Ooh.
Oh my God! All 3 dots are filled up for round number 1. So, Alan, you are correct. Let us go to round number 2. And number 2, round number 2. It's the
We are
second
in
of our
round
3
number 2.
rounds.
That's time to bring Adrienne out again. We're going to have a follow-up to her Brazilian skullduggery, and we'll hear more right now.
Okay, so Luciana was in the quarterfinal race. She was leading the race when all of a sudden she hears a bunch of screaming and shouting from the bank. And by the time, because you're going backwards, by the time she looked back, she basically made eye contact with a mother duck who was leading her 9 ducklings across the canal. And she basically had a choice of either plowing through the family of ducks or laying on the brakes, which in this case was laying on the oars. And that's exactly what she did. She stopped, full stop there. She waited there until the whole family had passed by, and then she started. In the process, her biggest competitor, Swarin, who's a powerful Slovakian, took advantage of the situation and of her opponent's compassion and gained a 5-length lead, which means 5 skulls were between the two of them. In round 3, I'm going to explain the miraculous outcome of the story. And just so you know, the ducks did survive.
Yes. I was worried a Slovakian was going to tear through a family of ducks for the gold.
If anyone
No,
would, it would
not
be the
again.
Slovakians.
Not again. You know, my grandmother was a powerful Slovakian. But I digress.
I came here to win. All right, so Darren, what do you think?
I had a similar thing happen. I just went on a cruise to the Mediterranean and we stopped in Croatia. And in Split, Croatia, there's this place where the bus comes in to park, and there's just one parking space and there's a bunch of buses. And our bus, I mean, he was going for it. And just then this group of Italian tourists, like one by one, started to cross the road. And it was like, is he going to go for the parking spot or is he going to let them live? And he did let them live. So I guess it's also a happy ending.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
We
That's
were
good.
worried.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah. So this story is kind of holding water for me. I feel like everything checks out, fits the bill. You know.
Does have bills, yes.
Wow, that's like 2 or 3 puns in 3 seconds.
Back
Rapid
to back.
fire. Rapid fire puns there. Yes.
All right.
So yeah, looking to
Okay.
see what happens in part 3.
We will.
Wow.
We will.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're
All
still
right,
in
okay.
round 2. So
We are.
Melissa, we're going to hear some more about this St. Louis Marathon in 1904 or whatever happened afterwards. We don't know.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So one of the things that makes this story interesting is the athletes. So the first to finish the marathon was somebody by the name of Frederick Wars. He was American, and he finished in 3 hours and 13 minutes. And just as they were about to give him his award, they were like literally putting something on his head. Alice Roosevelt, which was Teddy Roosevelt's daughter, was there. A spectator calls out and said he cheated. He actually got into, I'll say, a car prototype. He got into a car prototype as he was getting tired around mile like 11 or so. The car prototype conked out, and then he got out of the car and ran the rest of the way. So he was banned from the Olympics. The true gold medal went to somebody by the name of Thomas Hicks, who was also American, but he actually succeeded with the help of rat poison, which is actually kind of a performance-enhancing drug on low doses. You don't have to wait for part 3.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. Oh, boy. I don't know what to say. Adri, what do you think?
Well, the rat performance enhancing poison, that really explains the size of the rats in New York City. Probably came over from Missouri. Is that where your story takes place?
Missouri
St.
Rats.
Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah. Man. Well, race in America, having cheaters and scandals, not far fetched. That's my thought. Yeah.
Darren, what's your opinion here?
Problems with race in St. Louis still hasn't been resolved to this date. So that part isn't far-fetched either. But a 3:13 marathon in the turn of the century, that seemed awfully fast for that time to me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Darren's really
Though she did
doubting
explain
this
that they
timeline.
used a car.
Car prototype.
That's how I do
whatever it
marathons.
was.
Me
I'm
too.
very curious to see these 1904 designs. I'd like to look at one, but we're not going to have any visual aids in this episode. Darren,
No.
are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's hear more about this flight with the 747.
All right.
Here we go.
So after narrowly cresting Pawnee Hill, Flight 411 is just above the apartment rooftop level. They're like 6 stories high in Athens. And they're just narrowly missing the buildings, but they're not missing some of the rooftop TV antennas. And so the pilot's decision to raise the landing gear both gave them enough clearance to miss the buildings, but it also reduced drag on the airplane, preventing the airliner from stalling out and crashing. And so once they got past the apartment buildings, they lower the nose a little bit to pick up speed, and they're able to actually marginally increase their engine power a little bit. But their big concern is now Mount Agaleo, whose 1,539-foot peak is between them and the sea. But miraculously, around 2:05, a little headwind appears. They're able to gain a little altitude, and that allows them to turn and fly past the mountain and make it to the sea, where they just start dumping fuel like crazy to lighten the plane.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
This is very harrowing. Adri, what do you think?
Yeah, unbelievable. Like that sounds like a really crazy event. I'm really waiting to see how this ties in with the Olympics, or is it just that Greece?
Just it's Olympic Airlines.
Oh, okay.
Tie-in.
It's the name
That'll
of the
do it.
airlines.
That's the tie-in. Yeah, it seems like a really plausible story, especially with how crazy things are right now, or have been
In
So, yeah.
1978.
in 1978. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Melissa, what do you say?
Yeah, so this is where this story kind of, I feel like, took new heights for me, and I'm worried that Darren is winging it just a little bit.
Oh.
Throwing out a lot of numbers, again, a lot of numbers. We have the date, we have the airline, which is 411. We got the weight of the plane, we have the height of the buildings. A lot of numbers. That's all I'm saying, a lot of numbers.
Wow.
Makes
You
sense.
sound foiled by those numbers.
Hey.
Hey.
Nice.
There we go. That's what I do sometimes.
Very cool. Well, let's see that. Oh, look at that. Adam,
Hey.
we're done with round 2.
Yes, we are done with round 2. So, Alan, that means right now we are going to go to the final round of History Bluffs. It's round number 3. Final round. Here we
Where
go.
we triple the value of our 0-point game. Adri,
Yes.
Yes.
you're going first to wrap up your story about sculling in it's not in Brazil, but it's a Brazilian rower. Where did this take place again?
In Barcelona.
Barcelona. Okay,
Sounds
so it's
deep.
in Spain.
Barcelona.
You were so close
Barcelona.
by an ocean.
Barcelona.
Gracias.
Okay.
All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Okay. So at the end of round 2, I said that she basically fell behind by 5 lengths of the skull. In an incredible display of skill in the last 1,000 meters of the same quarterfinal race, Luciana caught up to the Slovakian and beat her. She was not only the race. She not only won the race, but ultimately she, won the final, which was 2 more like races from that point. She won the gold. She set a new games record, and in the simple act of compassion that was never forgotten. Luciana went on to prove herself to be the league's ahead of the competition, winning the Olympic title again in Los Angeles in 2000, and keep her record until 2012 at the London Olympics, when an Australian competitor unseated her title.
Oh my god.
Her record, her world record. That's what it
And
is.
that Australian title holder went right through a family of ducks to do it.
Oh, yeah. They
No,
don't look
not the
So-
ducks.
Australians don't care.
They don't
Oh.
care. Darren, what do you think?
I'm sure there's a lot of skill involved, but she does sound like a bit of a lucky duck to me.
That's good. All right.
Melissa, what do you say?
Yeah, no, I think this one kind of I want to say this story is actually, like I said before, it's holding water. I would agree with that. I don't think she's a quack.
Oh, not a quack.
Hmm.
All right.
I don't
That's
feel good about that
interesting.
one.
That's interesting. No, I think that's a good one.
That was
I'll
one of your
take
best
it.
ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just wondering what's the mallard with Melissa here. She's not getting
What's
those
the
puns
mallard?
there.
That gets a trombone, Adam. Give yourself a trombone.
Okay, we can.
There you go. Trombone for Adam. Right there.
That was
Okay.
terrible.
That was not good. That was a stretch. Anyway,
Was not good.
Wow.
number 2. Who's our number 2? Melissa, of
Number
course.
2 is Melissa.
Me.
She's going to wrap up this marathon story, and we'll find out what happens.
All right, here we go.
All right, so that wasn't the only; those were the only 2 instances. We had the rat poison, we had the car prototype. There was also Felix Carvajal from Cuba. He was a postman, and he had earned his way to get to St. Louis, but he actually gambled away his money in New Orleans right before the race was to start, and he actually had to hitchhike his way up to St. Louis. He got there just before the race started, and he was actually in dress pants. Somebody had to come and cut them into shorts. And he ate an apple on his run that was rotten, and he felt so bad he took a nap in the middle of the marathon. Still won 4th place, though. So that goes out to him.
Wow.
He had food poisoning, or he just took a nap?
He took a nap because he said he didn't feel very good after the apple.
Wow, that's crazy. But he still got 4th place. That's awesome. Adrian, what do you
Yeah.
think?
That story sounds unbelievable. I'm not ready to make an accusation, but that's where I'm sitting.
Felix the
Yeah.
Cuban hitchhiker. Darren, what do you say?
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, after he ate the rotten apple, he was still hungry, so then he ate his shoe and his sock. And this is actually the plot of a Charlie Chaplin movie that she's describing to us.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Interesting. All
That's a
right,
100-year-old reference.
And this is
It
all
is.
hitchhiking that involves hitchhiking in car prototypes in 1904, I guess.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. All right, I'll take it. It's
Okay.
we got one more person, Darren.
Just one more.
We're gonna wrap up our final chapter of our final story. Let's hear what happens. What's the fate of this 747?
I told you they survived, but
Oh,
I'll
well.
finish
Well,
it.
that's good. All
So
right.
then it's over.
Okay.
Okay, wrap it up.
Here we go.
So after dumping fuel, they turn around and Flight 411 safely returns to Athens International Airport and no lives were lost. According to the flight recorder, Flight 411 flew as slow as 158 miles an hour, which is a full 22 miles an hour slower than the minimum speed of a 747. Boeing engineers input all of these flight conditions into their simulators back in the US, and no one who flew the simulated flights landed the plane safely at all. They all died, every one of them. And today, Flight 411 is part of Boeing's flight training curriculum that they teach new pilots. As to why it all happened, they learned later that one of the engines exploded, and it was just a design flaw in this particular engine. And after this flight, they changed the procedures of starting up the engines to prevent it from happening again.
Wow. Boy, Darren, you caught me off guard when you said they all died because that was a simulator they were all in. So that's really
Well, they
bad
simulated
piloting.
died. They didn't actually. The
Simulate
simulator
died.
didn't kill them.
They literally died the simulator.
Yeah, nobody in the simulator could land the plane.
You guys are so bad you couldn't survive.
It's like when you play the
A video
Sims.
game.
It's like when you play
like-
the Sims and they get in the pool and then you take the ladder out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
exactly
dying
what
in
happened.
Fortnite in real life.
Yeah, right. Just like that.
Adri, let's hear you weigh in on this.
I'm glad that everyone survived, obviously. I'm glad that Boeing did something good with what happened. That's a positive. It sounds, all very plausible, but at the same time, completely implausible that a plane of that size, especially, could fly 125 miles an hour. That's crazy. I don't know. It's going to be a tough decision this week for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Melissa,
tough.
you're the science teacher. What do you
Okay.
think?
Well, this landing I'm not quite sure about. That's what I think about Darren's story, because he had said the weight, and then he said that's 8,000 pounds short of what it could be. And then when he talked about the speed, he said the speed was 158 miles per hour, which was 22 miles under. And so now I'm just wondering if his story's coming up short as well.
Whoa, whoa. Those numbers flying around.
Okay, well, everyone's told their stories. All
Yikes.
3 chapters.
What?
That
Oh,
means
man.
we need to hear some votes. What
You're
do our
right.
historians think? Who is telling the truth and who is a history bluff? Adri, what say you?
Oh man. Well, on one side, Darren's story was like I just said, semi-believable, but also it involves such a humongous vehicle. And then Melissa's story altogether is absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna vote for Melissa's story as being a bluffing fib.
Melissa got a vote from Adri. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, so at both points in time, I was like going back and forth with this one. So Adrian's story about Luciana, right? So I like the story of caring for the ducks. I'm an animal lover as well, so I want that one to be true. I also want the flight one. I want Darren's story to be true. But at the end of the day, I think Darren is the one who had his head in the clouds a little bit with his story.
So you're saying it's Darren
I think it's Darren.
with his high-flying story. Darren, what do you think?
Well, with Adri's story, I had pictures of the Emilio Estevez movie, The Mighty Ducks, the whole time. And I just want to see her story as like a Disney come from behind sports movie. I think it'd be awesome.
Should be. Yeah.
But I'm just having a hard time picturing this guy showing up in his tux and tails and taking scissors to it and running the marathon and coming in fourth. So I think it's Melissa who I'm going to vote for this week.
All right. Wow.
Melissa got 2 votes from both historians. That's interesting. And that means we got 1 vote for Darren. It also means that if Adri is the bluff, she will definitely get today's gold medal. So, Adam, you know for sure. Tell the folks at home who is whom.
You're right. I do know who the actual bluff is. And you're also right that if Adri has the bluff, she is going to get away with it scot-free. Otherwise, let's find out. Was it Adri? Or was it Melissa? Or was your bluff Darren? Get ready to find out. For this Olympics episode, your bluff was Adri!
Oh! Adri gets the gold!
That's right, she gets the gold with a clean swipe.
Well done, Adri.
you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I just want you guys to know there were elements of truth in my story, which is okay by the bylaws of history bluffs.
That's
Yes.
true.
The sculler did stop for the ducks in the race and did win, but everything else is fake.
Was that a different year? Was it a different country?
It
What's
was
the true story?
19. It was a guy named Henry Bobby Pierce. He was from, I think, the Netherlands or something. And it took place in the 1920s, 1930s,
Oh.
something like that.
1920s. That's cool. Good to know. Nice little
Yeah,
story
yeah.
there.
Alan, come on
Melissa-
back to the stage so we can see your
Oh,
lovely
yeah, you'll
face.
probably want to see me there. Okay, there you go. Hello. Now,
Hi
Melissa,
there.
you had an interesting story about a marathon. My goodness, there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened there. There was a cheat accusation, people using cars, and Felix hitchhiking. Tell us more.
Yeah, I didn't even get to the point. There was one runner from South Africa who got chased a mile off the race by dogs.
Okay.
It happens.
It was just, it was apparently, I mean, people almost died during this marathon because it was so poorly run.
Wow.
They're
Which
like,
in
we are
itself-
never
which
doing
in
this
itself
in
is a
Missouri.
pun.
Yeah, they ran them
Poorly-
off.
A poorly run marathon. Oh.
Yep.
That's a fun story. And also, Darren, your highfalutin flight there. Let's see that they dodged death. Like
They dodged death, and the one little detail I left out is they actually dodged their own mistake. When they took off, they got a warning light that they misinterpreted, and they turned off a system because they thought it was faulty when it was the warning light meant do something else. And that was the cause of their poor engine performance. They did have one engine blow up, by the way. That part did happen. But had they done things right, they would have taken off without all this other problems, and they still would have turned around and gone back because the engine blew up. But they did get lucky in that they made a mistake, but recovered from their own error.
That's amazing.
And the incident does teach new pilots today about how to handle an emergency.
Cool.
That is something else.
Nice.
What a story.
That is something else, and that's why you guys tune in to History Bluffs every week on Wednesdays, 7:30, and listen to us on your podcast apps for iOS, for Android, Spotify, Amazon Music. It's all over the place. Adam, take us home.
You got it, Alan. Thanks for hosting. Big thanks to you. Big thanks to Adri, who got away scot-free and won the gold. Thanks to Darren and, of course, Melissa. And we have been History Bluffs. We will see you here next week, just like we always do. Tune in. See you then.